One clear sign of how much potential a candidate has that I noticed while coaching them was how much they owned their preparation. That doesn't mean only doing whatever drills and cases and homeworks they were supposed to do. It means actually being in charge and taking control of their preparation. A candidate who's not in charge of their preparation does what everyone else is doing. They follow generic tips from their university career center. Their only solution for improvement is doing more and more cases, and they're always looking for that one silver bullet that will allow them to crack every case. A candidate who is in charge of their preparation is completely different. Here's some examples of what they're doing. They find patterns and learn from the businesses they interact with every day. They debrief their cases and try to think of questions that could have been asked. And they keep a log of their feedback and actively look for patterns of what they should be improving on. It's surprisingly easy to differentiate yourself from other candidates, because everyone else is doing the same stuff over and over again. But you've gotta have the right mindsets. So I'm gonna give you right now the 3 mindsets to internalize that are gonna step up your chances of getting an offer, because they're gonna make your preparation worth your time. Mindset number 1. Cases are meant to be crafted, not cracked. Everyone talks about cracking cases, so they try to look for the right answer for the case no matter how they do it. And that's not what that's about at all. Cases are simulations of real-life problems, and real-life problems don't have one right answer. So what we do in real life, and what consultants do, is to craft the best possible argument or answer or plan based on the best information we can get. Everyone knows you can get to the right answer in a case and still get rejected. And you know what? In one of my cases, I got to the wrong answer and I got the offer anyway. And here's why. What they're looking for is not an answer. They're looking for someone who can think and solve problems like they do. So what this means to your preparation is that you need to focus on learn to think like a consultant. What this means to your cases is that you need to build the strongest possible argument rather than blindly looking for an answer hidden somewhere. Consulting is not a test where you need to find the one right answer. Consulting is a line of work where your job is to build, to craft the best possible argument, so your client can make decisions and take action based on that. In fact, the consulting job in itself is a craft. Once you get in, you're going to go through a long journey to master that craft until you make partner. And a huge part of mastering that craft is sharpening the way you think, which is why the whole point of case interviews is seeing if you can think like they do. Mindset number 2, my preparation is a case in itself. The most successful candidates we've met treated their preparation as a problem to be solved. And as good aspiring consultants, they solved that problem the consulting way. Instead of winging it, they planned their preparation in a structured way. Instead of tackling symptoms of poor performance, they tackled root causes. And instead of just using easy cases from casebooks, they used the toughest cases they could find and prepared for the worst. It's a bit like Inception. If you want results and you want them quick, you need to apply the consulting principles to your own preparation. Here's a simple framework to prepare effectively. First, you find your weaknesses. Second, you find a best practices plan to fix it. And third, practice until you internalize. Rinse and repeat. If you think about it, this is much like solving a profitability case. First, you need to find the root cause of the profit decrease, the company's weakness. Then, to fix it, you're going to look for benchmarks and best practices. And third, since you're implementing your own solution, you need to practice yourself. Of course, knowing the best practices is not enough. If you implement this simple framework, find your weakness, find a best practice, and practice until you internalize, what you're going to end up with is a systematic, well-planned preparation that's so much more effective than just doing more cases. That will effectively guarantee you're never going to reach a learning plateau, and will guarantee that you're always focusing on the area that you need the most improvement on. Mindset number 3, I should be curious and ask why. All that talk of structured and systematic preparation for mindset number 2 might leave you thinking that case prep and case solving is something rigid. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Great consultants are curious thinkers. They like to understand why things happen, and they like to understand things from first principles, and they love curious candidates. Mindset number 3 is all about being curious about your cases and being curious about your preparation. I once interviewed a candidate in a coaching session using a production bottleneck case. And his initial framework was a business situation framework, so he had a customer's bucket in it. In that bucket, he asked me questions like, what is the customer's price sensitivity, their sensitivity to price increases? What are the customer segments? How do customers use the product? And later on, I showed him why all of those were irrelevant to that case. and he was extremely frustrated. He told me, "That's so obvious, I should have seen that before." And indeed, what I was pointing out to him was obvious and he could have realized it by himself. But to do that would have involved freeing himself from a common mentality. There's a notion among beginners that you can solve a case by first applying a framework and then trying to figure out how to get to the answer. What they should be doing instead is laying out a tightened up, customized framework that is sure to get to the answer. A plan that considers everything beforehand and that has no loose ends. Your feeling at minute 5 of the case should be that you know that you're going to get to the answer, not that you're hopefully going to figure it out. And to do this, the thinking work is done to build your framework before you present it, not afterwards. And the key to that is asking yourself why. Why do I need to know the customer segments? Why do I need to know price sensitivity? If my coaching client had asked himself those questions, he would know that those answers would never help him solve the bottleneck problem, no matter what they were. So you need to be systematic, because this is how consultants work. But you also need to keep yourself flexible and curious. The types of systems we teach in this course are the ones that will allow you to always ask why, to keep your curiosity up, and to think about each problem with its uniqueness. This is very different from the systems most candidates use. Specifically, pre-made frameworks like Victor Chang's business situation framework will keep your curiosity and your critical reasoning down. And even if you didn't use our specific method, any system you use to help you solve problems should help you think and be curious, not stand in the way. But this mindset about curiosity is not only about curiosity within your case, it's also about curiosity within your preparation. One thing we hear all the time is people asking, what are the rules of case interviews? As if at some point in time, the old prophets of management consulting had walked up to the top of a mountain and found ancient scrolls with the 10 commandments of Mr. McKinsey. And that's not the mindset you should have at all. As everything in consulting, things have their logic. The rules are only useful if you know why they're there, because sometimes you're going to have to break them. Do you really think there's a rule book hidden somewhere in McKinsey's or BCG's office with all the procedures a candidate must follow to get an offer? Did he take less than 120 seconds to build his issue tree? Or do you think the interviewer is just using a case to assess how you think and if you could do the job? Which one do you think is more likely? You're going to notice throughout the course that we always explain why things are the way we teach. And we also expect you to ask why, to the things you learn with us and to the things you learn anywhere else. It's only by asking why enough times that you're actually going to learn and internalize the principles. Now, there's a final aspect in being curious in your preparation, and that is being curious with the feedback you receive. Never take the feedback that you get at face value. Always ask why, how did you perceive that, can you give me some examples, until you really understand the feedback that you're getting. That's the only way you can really take control of your preparation and take steps towards getting better. So to recap, the 3 mindsets that I want you to internalize right now to step up your preparation and get yourself closer to the offer are: cases are meant to be crafted, not cracked. It's not about getting to the one right answer. It's about finding a strong answer while showing a systematic, trustworthy thinking process. My preparation is a case in itself. You should prepare with a well-thought, structured plan that incorporates 1. Identifying your weaknesses, 2. Finding best practices to solve them, and 3. Practicing until you internalize. I should be curious and ask why about all problems. You should ask why and be curious during the case, regarding preparation rules, and as you receive feedback. Now it's time to put all these tools and mindsets to work and start crafting your cases. Head on to the estimations module. I'll see you there.